Okay. Buenas noches a todos. Good evening, everybody. We have the amazing pleasure of having Zina to join us tonight. She's going to try to explain to you a lot of the international process that we use, or sorry, what I meant to say is the immigration process that we use to help you guys become U.S. residents as part of the program sponsored by the hospitals. Our intention is that you learn a lot from that. She will be very happy answering many of your questions. Remember, she cannot do a consultation. She can only resolve the questions in general form, but she will be prepared to pretty much answer the great majority of the questions. Buenas noches a todos. Tenemos el absoluto placer de tener con nosotros a Zina. Es la cabeza del grupo de abogados del grupo de FRAGOMEN, que trabaja con muchísimos de nuestros hospitales. Ella va a charlar con ustedes sobre el proceso migratorio que utilizamos para obtenerle su residencia permanente a los Estados Unidos a través del proceso que hacen los hospitales, y va a contestarles muchas de las preguntas referentes a migratorios. Por favor, tengan en cuenta que la reunión no es una consulta. Ella va a tratar de contestarles de la mejor manera posible todas las preguntas, y obviamente el que necesite una consulta particular siempre puede hacer una consulta particular. Zina es bilingüe. Ella va a hablar en español y en inglés, así que pueden participar con ella directamente. Yo ya he recibido muchas de las preguntas que yo ya se las pasé a Zina. Ella ya tiene muchas de las preguntas anticipadas. Me las pueden ir mandando también a medida que la conversación va, y yo las voy revisando y se las voy pasando a Zina. ¿Ok? So Zina, thanks again. It's a pleasure to have you. We are all yours.
Okay, of course. Hello, thank you, everyone. Buenas noches a todos. Hello, my name is Zina Berazenji. I'm the Senior Associate at FRAGOMEN. It's a pleasure to be here with you all tonight. Es un placer. And I'm going to share my screen, and we'll talk a bit about the immigration process, as David said. So one moment. Now, let me just, are you seeing the...
Yes, we are seeing.
The main screen?
Yeah, we see the main screen.
Just the full slide, or the multiple slides?
No, the single slide.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great, so we can start. So we'll start talking about the employment sponsorship process for the nurses, or proceso migratorio para las enfermeras. So to start, I'm going to just overview the process of the employment process, employment sponsorship. This is just a broad overview, and then we will go into detail about this process on the next slide. So just to start, it's the 5 basic steps here about the sponsorship process. So the first step, first, the U.S. government has designated for the nurse occupation to be eligible for a specialized process for permanent residence. So el gobierno de los Estados Unidos ha designado la ocupación de la enfermera para ser elegible para un proceso especial para tramitar la residencia permanente. So ahora yo voy a explicar un poquito del proceso, pero en la próxima slide yo voy a explicar más en detalle para cada paso. So here, for step 1, the employer will offer you, the nurse, the position to work at the hospital, let's say, or the clinic, and you accept that position. From there, once you've accepted the position, you move to step 2, where the employer will file the I-140 on your behalf to the United States Immigration Service, or USCIS, as it's referred to. Step 3, once that's filed with the USCIS, we file the DS-260, which is the immigrant visa application with the National Visa Center. I put here in just a little bit parentheses that if you're in the United States, you may be able to file with USCIS for adjustment of status. And we'll talk about that again in a bit more here in a minute. And the next, once you've filed the DS-260 with the National Visa Center, they then send your case to the U.S. consulate for interview scheduling. And once that's sent to the U.S. consulate, the consulate will schedule the interview and then issue the visa. So like I said, it's just a very broad overview, and we'll dig into each step here in detail moving forward. So let me just move all of these. So step 1, like I said, the employer offers the position to the nurse accepts the position. So paso 1, el empleador ofrece el trabajo a la enfermera acepta. So in this step, right, this is where after you've accepted the position, FRAGOMEN, the team of attorneys or the group here, will contact you to collect information needed to file the Form I-140 and the DS-260. So what is the Form I-140? What is the DS-260? These are the applications we're filing with immigration for you to get your green card, ultimately. First, we have to file the I-140, like I said. And so we're going to send you questionnaires, and we're going to be asking you for documents like your degree, your transcripts and translations, your proof of NCLEX passing, maybe some biographic documents for your family, for you and your family. So en español, en esta etapa, FRAGOMEN se comunicará con usted para colectar la información necesaria para presentar el formulario I-140 y DS-260. Los documentos incluyen como el diploma, acta de grados, las traducciones en inglés, el NCLEX. So este debe ser aprobado, importante, antes de presentar el I-140. Los documentos biográficos suyos y de su familia, como el acta de nacimiento de sus hijos o acta de matrimonio de su cónyuge. So, todos estos documentos para meter la aplicación. Then we move on to step 2, which is when we file the petition, the Form I-140, on behalf of the nurse with USCIS. So this is filed by the hospital or the employer with USCIS. And it's filed with expedited processing, which means the decision is coming within 15 days. So it's not a very long wait. Like you might, when we get later in the process, sometimes the wait is longer. The nice thing with the I-140, it's a faster process, 15 days. And then once that's approved, USCIS will send your case to the National Visa Center to move to the next step. So el segundo paso, o paso 2, el empleador o con nosotros FRAGOMEN presenta el formulario I-140 a USCIS. Esto es un procesamiento acelerado, entonces la decisión es dentro de 15 días. So es muy rápido. Y después de la aprobación, USCIS envía su caso al NVC. Then we move on to step 3, which is completing the DS-260 or the immigrant visa application with the NVC. Where I say here, nurse completes the DS-260, I don't mean to say you have to do this on your own, but it just means that, the employer does not file this, the individual files it. So we will actually be submitting for you if we're working with you, but we prepare the DS-260 on your behalf, and we submit it with your supporting documents for you and your family, if applicable, to the National Visa Center. Here, it does take a few months sometimes for the National Visa Center to review these documents before they send your case to the U.S. consulate in your home country to be scheduled for an interview. They review it all to make sure everything is there. So en el tercer paso, la enfermera completa la solicitud del visa emigrante DS-260 con el NVC. So, nosotros, FRAGOMEN, enviará el DS-260 para usted y los documentos para usted y su familia si corresponde al NVC. Nosotros vamos a ayudarle. El NVC tardará unos meses para revisarlos antes de enviar el caso al consulado de los Estados Unidos en su país de origen. Y cuando el consulado va a programar su entrevista después de unos meses también. Oh gosh. Sorry, David.
That's okay. No
Did
problem.
it said you took control of my screen.
Oh, no, I was sending a text to people.
Oh.
I was sending a text to people to let them know what NBC stands for in Spanish.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. It said, oh, that's so funny. It said, yeah, that they took over my screen and then closed out the PowerPoint and deleted.
Huh?
Huh.
I don't allow to take control of the presentations.
Oh, I thought you were asking. Yeah, that's so interesting. Okay, 1 second. Very weird. Let me just reopen. Okay, one pause. I'll give you all a break from my voice for a second.
Mientras tanto, les repito a los que lo escribí por el chat, a todos, NBC es el National Visa Center, el Centro Nacional de Visas, que es el tercer paso que Zina estaba explicando, que hay que mandar las aplicaciones una vez que están aprobadas. La visa hay que mandarlo al Servicio Nacional de Visados para que ellos revisen toda la documentación antes de enviarla a los consulados.
Okay, let's try that again.
Sina, if you mark the one before, okay, it doesn't matter. The icon before will make the things easier for you, but it's okay, you are fine.
This one?
No, you're good. Continue your presentation.
Okay, so you all can see the step,
Yes.
the step 4?
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. Sorry, I keep getting, now it's saying Carrie it keeps flashing on my screen that Carrie is trying to.
Give me, click on a part that says collaborate on the security and where it says collaborate don't allow the people to share your screen.
Yeah, okay.
Dave, I'll wait and not let people in for a minute.
No, you should be okay.
Okay, yeah, we'll keep going. Let's just see if that, okay. Sorry about that, interesting. Okay, so, all right, so step 4. Yeah, and sorry, for those that don't know, like David said, NVC, National Visa Center, or Centro Nacional de Visas, it's part of the Department of State, or Departamento del Estado. It's that handles the consulates. It's just the department of the government. Gosh, now I'm getting Deb they're all flashing over. Okay. So moving to the next step. So once the NVC, step 4, MVC will send the DS-260 and all your documents to the US consulate in your home country for interview scheduling. You know, this question we get a lot: how long will it take for the interview? You know, can I request expedite? The wait time for the interview is definitely going to depend on your consulate, your home country, the workload at the consulate, you know, visa availability, all of that. Depends on the time of year, you know, backlogs, all of those different things. We can certainly request an expedite request, you know, once we get to that place for your case, especially because, like I said in the beginning, the nurse position, you know, is approved for the specific or specialized process, but there's no guarantee of approval. And remember that you must have the visa screen before the interview. So just remember, you know, if we're going to be submitting an expedite request for you, you know, we don't want to do that until you have the visa screen, because that's something that, you know, has to be done before the interview. So el paso 4, NBC envía el DS-260 al consulado de los Estados Unidos para programar la entrevista en su país en su país. El tiempo de espera para la entrevista varía según los consulados, su carga de trabajo, la disponibilidad de visas. Podemos enviar una solicitud acelerada, pero no hay garantía de aprobación. Y es importante de recordar que debe tener su visa screen antes de la entrevista. So, no podemos solicitar acelerada o podemos enviar una solicitud acelerada antes de tener su visa screen, porque eso es necesario antes de la entrevista. Okay. Step 5, the U.S. consulate schedules the interview and issues the visa. Before the interview, you'll get an interview notice. You must complete a medical exam and a biometrics appointment before the interview. And then once you complete the interview, the visa should be issued within 1 to 2 weeks from the interview if there are no issues. Paso 5, el consulado programa la entrevista y emite la visa. Debe completar un examen médico y una cita biométrica, sus huellas digitales, antes de la entrevista. Y la visa emitida dentro de 1 o 2 semanas de la entrevista si no hay problemas. Okay. So now we'll kind of go through some common questions that we get, you know, about different things that come up, eligibility, process, things like that. I'll go through the question and answer first in English and then in Spanish. David, feel free to jump in if you feel I'm missing anything in the translation too. I won't be offended if you feel, you know, if you want to jump in or clarify as well.
Yeah, no problem. And I have already received some expansion to a couple of those questions, so I will add to some of those too.
Of course. Okay. So one question we get, you know, and we had some specific questions about, I was living illegally in the US for 2 years or 3 years or whatever. So I kind of posed it this way to explain. I was living illegally in the US for more than 180 days, but I left voluntarily. Can I apply? So if you were in the United States for more than 180 days without status and you left, you may not be allowed to return for 3 years from the last day of your last exit. And that's just the reason it's 180 days. That's just the way the law was written. So it's more than 180 days, then you are banned from returning for 3 years from the last day. If you were in the US for more than 1 year without status and you left, then you may not be able to return for 10 years from the last day of your exit. Now, there are some exceptions if you have, you know, family and waivers and things like that, but this is the general rule. So, I'll say it in Spanish and then I'll give an example. Estuve viviendo ilegalmente en los Estados Unidos durante más de 180 días, pero me fui voluntariamente. Puede presentar una solicitud. So, si estuvo en los Estados Unidos durante más de 180 días sin estatus y se fue, es posible que no se le permite regresar durante 3 años a partir del último día de salida. ¿Ok? Y si estuvo en los Estados Unidos durante más de 1 año sin estatus y se fue, es posible que no se le permita regresar durante 10 años a partir del último día de salida. So an example of this is, let's say I came in on a visitor visa in 2000, okay, and my visa was valid for 6 months, but I stayed until 2005. Okay, so that's 5 years I was here, or 4.5 years I was here, quote unquote, illegally, and I left voluntarily. Then I could not come back technically for 10 years. Now, let's say I did not come back for 10 years, and now it's 2023, but maybe I want to apply. Well, what's past, 10 years after 2005 would be 2015. So I could maybe, be eligible to apply. Here, I would recommend a consultation, of course, to look and make sure that there were no other issues. I can give that example in Spanish as well, if that's helpful. So un ejemplo de esto, si alguien entre con una visa de turismo en el año 2000, ¿ok? Y quedarse, el visa es válido por 6 meses, pero quedarse en los Estados Unidos por 5 años y se fue voluntariamente en 2005, ¿ok? Entonces, estaba en los Estados Unidos ilegalmente para 5 años. No puede regresar por 10 años, ¿no? Pero usted no regresó por 10 años, pero ahora quiere regresar. So, si no regresa antes de 2015, es posible que puede regresar ahora porque es más de 10 años, pero en esas situaciones yo recomiendo una consultación en cada vez.
Una consulta.
Una consulta, sí. Gracias.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll move on to the next question. Are there any countries that cannot participate in this program? No, but there are some applicants who were born in specific countries that will have longer wait times, for example, India and China. So, ¿hay algún país que no puede participar? No, pero algunos solicitantes que nacieron en países específicos, por ejemplo, India y China, tienen tiempos de espera más largos por la visa. I have a chronic disease. Can I apply? So there's a list online, and we can share it after the meeting with the group of certain communicable diseases that would make you ineligible. It's too long to share here, so I can't, share it. Tengo una enfermedad crónica, puedo aplicar. So hay ciertas enfermedades transmisibles que pueden hacer que no sea elegible. So pueden enviar, a la lista de participantes para ver. It's online. Hay un link. If I refuse the vaccination, can I still apply? So you must have a medical waiver or a religious waiver for all vaccinations. Si rechazo a la vacunación, ¿puedo aplicar de todos modos? Debe tener una exención médica o una exención religiosa para todas las vacunas. Okay. So moving on to...
Gina, let me interrupt you for a second.
Please, yeah.
I want to make sure people understand that most chronic disease are not infectious disease. They are not, they don't pull you out. People with some chronic diseases, diabetes, people who has hyperthyroidism, things like that. None of that is going to stop you from getting your visa.
Exactly. It has to be a communicable disease of significant public health concern, like you know, gonorrhea. They list, you know, that can transmit to other people, basically.
La lista de la mayoría de las enfermedades crónicas que la gente tiene, que no son infecciosas, no tienen ningún inconveniente. Todas permiten obtener la visa. La lista que tienen algunas exclusiones son enfermedades que son comunicables, desde que estén tratadas y estén controladas no hay problema, desde que si ustedes no las tienen tratadas y no están controladas, pueden excluirlos de la visa, pero obviamente eso lo discutimos mucho antes de hacer el filing, ¿ok?
Thank you. So some more questions about the process. Do I get my social security number at the embassy? No, you will be issued the social security number upon your entry to the United States. Usually you'll get the card a few weeks after entering. ¿Obtengo mi número de seguro social en la embajada? No, se le recibirá un número de seguro social unas semanas después de llegar a los Estados Unidos. How long is the visa valid and the green card? So the immigrant visa is valid for up to 6 months. So you must enter the United States within the validity of that visa. So after you have the interview, they'll issue the visa. You know, it's valid for up to 6 months, usually full 6 months, but sometimes less. You must enter within that validity period. And then once you enter, the green card is issued to you, and the green card is going to be valid for 10 years, and you can renew it indefinitely.
Zina, the last few ones that I have seen actually has a full 1-year validity.
For the immigrant visa?
They are stamped with a year validity, arrival within the first 6 months.
So the visa itself usually is valid for 6 months, but once they enter, it's given a 1-year validity to enter and exit. I think maybe that.
Yes, yes, that's my confusion. Absolutely, that's what it says.
And so, but that's a good point that you bring up. So they do have to enter within that, you know, while the visa, the first entry must occur within that first 6 months validity. But once you do enter, at the bottom, it says, you know, once admitted, I think there's a word, it says, you know, this is valid for 1 year for entry and exit. And that is often because what ends up happening is the green card itself isn't always mailed before this immigrant visa expires. And so there's a period of time, what if I need to leave the United States and I need to come back? They can still use this immigrant visa for up to 1 year to leave and come back as if it were a green card.
Okay. Allow me to translate that for you if you don't mind.
Please.
Cuando les estampan la visa en el pasaporte, ustedes tienen 6 meses, un periodo de 6 meses. En principio, la visa es válida para que ustedes lleguen a los Estados Unidos en los siguientes 6 meses desde el momento que les estampan la visa. Una vez que ustedes están pasando por el puerto de entrada, ellos les estampan en el pasaporte que la visa queda con una validación de 1 año. Durante ese año, ustedes obviamente van a recibir su green card, que tiene una validación permanente. Zina, did you explain the length of el green card viene inicialmente con una validación de 10 años y se renueva a los 10 años si uno quiere, ¿ok? Muy bien.
Okay.
Thank you, Zina.
Thank you. So, you know, can I remain a permanent resident? When can I apply for U.S. citizenship? Do I have to apply for U.S. citizenship? So you may remain a U.S. resident, a lawful permanent resident. You do not have to apply for U.S. citizenship. This is very much a personal decision, right? We will never tell you, you know, what to do. You should make your own decision based on, you know, what's right for you. There are certainly some advantages and things to consider on both ends. Some advantages, it allows you, if you apply for citizenship, allows you to vote, and you can petition for immediate relatives, which means you can petition for your parents, which is a big difference as a citizen, which you cannot do as a resident. And when you, after being a resident for 5 years is when you may apply for citizenship. That's when you first may look into it. There are some other additional requirements, but the first time you may be considered is after 5 years of residency. So in Spanish, so puedo seguir siendo residente permanente, cuándo puedo solicitar la ciudadanía y cuáles son las ventajas de la ciudadanía. So puedes seguir siendo residente, no hay requisito para solicitar la ciudadanía, es una decisión personal. So hay ventajas, sí, le permite votar y puede solicitar o patrocinar para sus familiares inmediatos. Importante, puede patrocinar para sus padres cuando está ciudadanía o ciudadano. No puede solicitar para sus padres cuando está residente. Y puede ser elegible para solicitar la ciudadanía después de 5 años de residencia. ¿Okay?
Okay. Esto es importante que les quede claro. La decisión de permanecer de residente permanente, nadie tiene obligación de cambiarla. Usted se puede quedar de residente permanente el resto de su vida. La gran mayoría de las personas, por no decir todos, a los 5 años están haciendo la aplicación para volverse ciudadanos porque tiene muchas ventajas de volverse ciudadanos, incluyendo las que mencionó Sina. Okay.
Thank you. So who can come, questions about dependents or dependientes. So who can come with me? Your spouse, but you must be legally married. So your partner may not come with you. There must be a legal marriage. Your children may come with you, but they must be under 21. And for children, I've listed a couple things here because there's, lots of different options. So your biological children may come, your stepchildren may come, and your adopted children are allowed, but they must all be unmarried. You can also apply for your adult children who are over 21 after you become a legal permanent resident. But importantly, there is this 8 to 10 year wait. So it is a very long wait. So that's a big consideration. And for children with disabilities who are over 21, again, I definitely recommend a consultation for this, but they may be eligible for humanitarian parole or a visitor visa, but it's very difficult. So, this one, David, I may need your assistance on that with the translation, but it's a difficult option for that one. And I'll move on to parent. Like I said before, for the parents, you must be a U.S. citizen to apply for the parents. So, okay, so in Spanish, ¿quién puede venir conmigo? Su cónyuge, pero debe estar legalmente casado. Sus niños deben ser menores de 21 años. Se permiten hijos biológicos, hijastros y adoptados, pero deben estar solteros. Puede presentar una solicitud para sus hijos adultos que están mayores de 21 años después de convertirse en residente permanente legal, pero importante, la espera es más de 8 a 10 años. So, es una línea de espera muy larga. Y tenemos una pregunta de los niños con discapacidades mayores de 21 años que David va a explicar.
Okay. Los hijos con discapacidades mayores de 20 años, en realidad, como la restricción de los 21 años aplica a todos los hijos, hay una posibilidad de solicitar una visa por ayuda humanitaria, ¿okay? o como visa de visitante para estas personas, pero es un proceso bastante complicado, bastante complejo y arduo, donde en muchas oportunidades no los aprueban inmediatamente o se demoran muchos años antes de que aprueben algo por el estilo. El parol humanitario, que es el que a veces se solicita para eso, es un proceso largo para que los autoricen, para que tengan una visa para poder venir a los Estados Unidos.
Thank you. One other question we have a lot is, can I petition for my family after I come to the U.S.? Maybe you want to come to the U.S. first, work, get settled, then bring your family. Yes, you can certainly do that. We do recommend we include them in the I-140, and then they can follow you after you have immigrated. They follow the same process in applying for the visa, waiting for the interview. We just have to make sure that we maintain yearly contact with the NVC. So it's just, keeping the case open. And there's a consideration for aging out children. So the children who are getting close to being 21, you want to make sure those ones we probably want to do their case, we wouldn't want to wait for them because if they turn 21, then the wait time is much longer. So puedo hacer, go ahead.
Let me ask you, so maybe you'll add this, so because this is a complementary. So you'll file collectively the I-140, but then you don't process the S-260 for the family until later, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. So we include the family on the I-140. You do still pay just the visa fee if possible, the 345, so that they have the case. Basically, they're there, but they hold it. You go and they pause there, and then you can even do it so that, okay, maybe my spouse is waiting, but my child is coming with me. And so you can do so your child, you file the visa application, but the spouse is still in the system. And then later, once you've immigrated, the spouse can go back in the system, file the visa application and wait for their interview once they're ready. Now, another thing to note is that they wouldn't be eligible for the expedite if they're filing without you, because your expedite is going to be based on the fact that you're a nurse going through the nurse process.
Correct. So it could take quite a while before those get actually processed.
Exactly.
Let me, if you don't mind,
I'll
add that to the translation.
Thank you.
I just wanna, okay. So, para aquellos que están considerando la posibilidad de aplicar primero a la visa de ellos y después a la visa de la familia, la respuesta es la siguiente. Hacer la solicitud conjunta de todos para el proceso I-140. En ese caso, sale todas las visas aprobadas, perdón, sale el proceso aprobado a través del enfermero, pero no se hace la segunda parte del proceso para la familia, no se hace el proceso de la solicitud de la visa. La ventaja es que obviamente pueden tomarse un tiempo para traer a la familia más tarde, si es una cuestión económica, pueden demorar algo relacionado con los pagos. Sina dice que de todas maneras es fundamental que se pague el costo consular, que se haga esa parte del proceso para que el proceso quede cubierto. Sina, corrígeme si por lo que estoy diciendo, y porque además eso congela la edad de cualquier hijo que esté cerca de los 21 años. El hecho de pagar el proceso consular congela, si una persona está cerca de los 21 años y te vas a demorar otro año y esa persona puede volverse de 22 o 23, congela la edad de la persona y pueden completar el proceso unos meses más adelante, un año más adelante y traer. La otra desventaja que hay de hacerlo de esa manera es que obviamente no se puede solicitar el proceso rápido. Tienen que pasar por el proceso normal de consular, que toma a veces mucho tiempo. Puede tomar 1 o 2 años antes de que la visa la procesen en el consulado. ¿Ok?
Perfecto.
Ok. Did I do a fair translation?
Gracias. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay. Some other questions we have about other visa types. Okay, so for what is a TN visa? The TN visa is available for Mexican and Canadian nationals who are coming to work in specific professions. It gives a list of professions. Nurses are on the list, but again, they must be from Canada or Mexico. And it's a temporary visa that's valid for up to 3 years at a time. And I should say that, if you have a TN or you apply for a TN, you can still then do the permanent residence process once you're here. So, ¿qué es una visa TN o TN? La visa TN solo está disponible para ciudadanos mexicanos o canadienses que vienen a trabajar en profesiones específicas. So, las enfermeras califican pero deben ser de Canadá o México. La visa es temporada por hasta 3 años a la vez. Pueden renovar y pueden hacer solicitud también para la residente permanente que estamos hablando, pero solamente para los, TN es solamente para los mexicanos o canadienses.
Okay.
Any other questions on TN?
Es importante que les quede claro que las visas TN, que son visas de trabajo, no son visas de residente, son aplicables exclusivamente para esos 2 países, para los mexicanos y para las personas del Canadá. Para los enfermeros latinos en nuestro proceso en México, en algunas circunstancias podemos utilizar esta visa como una parte de un proceso temporal, pero esto es algo que podemos discutir en ciertos casos dependiendo de la situación.
Okay. This one, I may have you help me translate as well, but I combined these because the questions, we oftentimes get questions about these and the responses are similar. Again, this is one that we usually recommend a consultation because it's, very complicated processes, lots of different considerations and depending on where you are in the process. But, we get a lot of questions. I have TPS or I've applied for asylum. Can I still apply for the Schedule A permanent process for the nurse? Can I still do the nurse green card? So if you have a TPS EAD, which is Employment Authorization Document or Permiso de Empleo, the work document, or if you have an asylum EAD or work document, you can work, for anybody at any time. You can start working now. So that's okay. You can work for the hospital now with or without the I-140. That's great. And at the same time, an employer or the hospital can still file the I-140 for you. So you can still go through that part of the process at the same time. It's the next step, the DS-260 or the adjustment of status, the green card application, that is a bit different when you have TPS or when you've applied for asylum. That's where it's really dependent on your specific facts, your specific case, where you are. And so it's really hard to give a general answer, but I can say for the most part, yes, you can apply. It just means it's just going to be a bit different process than sort of the quote unquote normal process that other people go through. Have fun with that one, David.
Sina, perdón, agregó 2 tipos de preguntas. Las personas que están bajo un estatus en los Estados Unidos, que se conoce con el nombre de TPS, estatus con permiso temporal de estar en los Estados Unidos, o personas que están aplicando para asilos. Si usted aplicó a un proceso de TPS y ya le dieron su aprobación de trabajo, que ya le dan el permiso de trabajar, o si usted aplicó al proceso de asilo y ya le dieron el permiso de trabajo, usted puede inmediatamente empezar a trabajar en el hospital. No hay ninguna restricción. Usted puede trabajar para cualquier empleador en los Estados Unidos, incluyendo obviamente a los hospitales. O una vez que tengamos el examen del NCLEX pasado y ustedes tengan su licencia de enfermería, ustedes pueden empezar inmediatamente a trabajar con el hospital. El hospital, mientras están trabajando, de todas maneras procesa la visa, hace el proceso de I-140 para convertir su TPS o su proceso de asilo en su residencia permanente a los Estados Unidos. Siempre recomendamos, ¿ok? Que porque muchos de ustedes que pueden estar en estos pasos no han hecho el paso correctamente o no están bien asesorados en la parte del TPS o del proceso de asilo, que por favor hagan una consulta anticipada de mirar exactamente qué se han hecho para que podamos tener certeza de que podemos convertir el proceso para volverlo en un proceso de residencia permanente, para que puedan hacer el ajuste de su estatus en los Estados Unidos y obtener el green card de los Estados Unidos. Sina, how did I do?
Perfect. You're hired. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. So last one is, I am in the United States on a tourist visa. Can I do everything here without leaving? So again, this is a tough one to answer because it really depends, on your specific case, how much time you have left in your current stay and other considerations, basically where, what the employer is doing, how far along we are with the employer process, whether the employer is willing to have you be here without having work authorization. So again, I know I keep saying it, but a consult, we have to talk through it. It could work, but it could be challenging. So, again, it depends. I know that's a very lawyerly answer, but it does depend there. So, for this one, so estoy en los Estados Unidos con un visa de turista, puedo hacer todo aquí sin salir. Dependiente también de cuánto tiempo quede en su estadía actual y otras consideraciones. So, podemos, pero podría ser algo complicado. Recomendamos también consulta porque dependiente en sus situaciones y sus detalles y la emplea los decisiones del hospital y todo eso. So we do recommend consultations. I know I keep saying that, but those specific complicated issues, it's best to talk to us directly.
Okay. I'll add a little bit to that. So, la pregunta que hacen con frecuencia es, yo entro a los Estados Unidos legalmente con una visa de turismo, ¿me puedo quedar y hacer todo el proceso desde acá? La respuesta es complicada porque en la mayoría de las veces no hay suficiente tiempo para lograr hacer todos los pasos que se requieren para que hayas completado para poder hacer tu aplicación. Hay muchas consideraciones. Lo más importante para poder meter los papeles del I-140 es que tienes que ya haber pasado el NCLEX. Si no estás preparado, si no has hecho tu certificación, si no, inclusive no tienes un nivel de inglés como para poder tomar el examen, 6 meses no es un tiempo apropiado para poder hacer el proceso. ¿Ok? De todas maneras, en los casos individuales, como siempre, los podemos revisar. Hacemos una consulta directamente con Sina, con su grupo, para que ustedes puedan discutir los detalles de su caso y se pueden ver si hay algunos motivos por el cual se pueda usted mantener acá. En la mayoría de las situaciones recomendamos que no sobrepase su visa de turismo, avance su proceso y más bien venga y lo termine acá cuando ya estén un poco más avanzados. ¿Ok?
Okay.
Okay. So an extension of that you may want to comment. You will not see. I don't know if you are seeing the chat but my chat is actually full of questions. But one of the related questions is somebody obviously with a student permit. Does it make any difference? Can they do all the process from here?
Yeah, so they can do, again, it depends on how much time they have on their student permit and how much time they have left of school. So they can, if they've done the NCLEX, they can file the I-140. The hospital can file the I-140 for them while they're still attending school. And then maybe if they still have enough time in their school while they're still here, they may still be able to file the adjustment of status or the green card application while they're attending school, or even, after they graduate, if they have that, period of time where they're working called OPT, they can file the green card during that time. Again, it all has to line up on the timing, but it's definitely possible.
And does that apply if what they are studying is just, let's say, they come here to study in an academy 6 months or a year, English. They're not studying, quote unquote, clinical or nursing related field. Can you still apply for the OPT?
So if they get OPT, so you're saying they studied for 6 months and then they get OPT for a year?
No, they are studying, they're just studying English. They come, which is, we get this question often. I would love to go and study English there, and while I'm studying there, I'll do the process there. So I'll study for NCLEX. Hopefully I do and pass my NCLEX. I'm still a student, I'm still studying English. I may not have yet passed my English exam, but I'm officially on an F1 visa. So can I do the change of status apply? Can the hospital apply for me for the change of status and then just finish the process here without ever having to leave the United States?
Yeah. So if it's if they only have 6-month program, it's similar to the tourist visa. It's probably not enough time. But if they have a 1-year visa and they've already done the NCLEX, we might be able to, that might be enough time to do the I-140 and to do the adjustment of status, again, assuming they've done the NCLEX and they can get it done. So that's certainly possible.
Okay. So lo que le pedía a Sina que expandiera un poquito es la situación que nos preguntan con mucha frecuencia, que es relacionado con personas que dicen, no, yo me quiero ir a los Estados Unidos a estudiar inglés allá por un tiempo y hacer todo mi proceso desde allá. Y la respuesta es, obviamente, si usted viene a un programa corto de inglés intensivo de 6 meses, es muy similar a una visa de turismo. Generalmente no hay suficiente tiempo en esa visa para poder hacer el proceso. Pero si una persona está en un programa más extendido, 1 año, 1 año y medio, estudiando inglés acá, durante ese tiempo sí hay suficiente tiempo para poder hacer el proceso, suponiendo de que obviamente ya te preparas con ya tienes suficiente inglés como para prepararte para hacer el NCLEX y poder acabar el NCLEX. Recuérdense que el I-140 no se puede hacer el filing sin haber pasado el NCLEX. Tienes que haber pasado el examen del NCLEX. De lo contrario, el hospital no puede aplicar para tu cambio de estatus y volverte para poder aplicar a la ciudadanía. Eso es uno de los requisitos de la visa. Okay.
So I also have some questions in my direct messages, and I'm sure you do as well. So do you want to?
No. If you want, no. Start with yours, and then I can. If I receive another one, the same kind, I'll add a little bit to it, and that way I can exclude the ones that you receive.
Sure. So we had some questions about the costs for taking spouse and children. Those are really depending on, the specific hospital that you're working with, but it depends on, what they're asking, whether the payment can be done in the United States. If they're coming after, yes. So if you're bringing your family afterwards, yes, they can. Someone asked, my child is already 21, so does this mean they cannot come with me? So like I said in the presentation, you can petition for them once you've become a resident, but they would have that longer wait time. I have a question. Is the U.S. Embassy the one who requires...
No, wait, because we have to translate some of those.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. La pregunta que algunos hacen con respecto a los costos, obviamente, depende un poco de cómo funcionan los hospitales. Esta es una respuesta que nosotros damos con frecuencia cuando las personas están avanzadas. El proceso I-40 de familia, eso lo paga en general el hospital todo acá. Los costos consulares son de su familia, no los suyos, de su familia, son por cuenta de ustedes. Es algo que se organiza una vez que ustedes están listos. Los costos del proceso I-140, hacerlo aquí en familia, el hospital hace un solo paquete y ellos pagan el costo de la familia de esa parte. La parte consular es por cuenta de ustedes, tanto la parte de los abogados como la parte de las embajadas, que hay que pagarlo, y eso incluye los costos, tienen que incluir los costos de la tarjeta verde, del Green Card, y tienen que incluir los costos de los exámenes médicos que se requieren para la familia. ¿Ok? I forgot what was the second question.
The other question was, my child, 2 questions. My child is over 21. Does it mean they won't be able to come with me? So once you become resident, right, you can.
Okay. And I will explain that one again. And can I add something on children again? And then I'll translate all the pieces. There are two questions. One is, there is a child who obviously they are married, and the husband or the spouse has a child from a prior marriage, but obviously it's not adopted by the nurse. Can they come with us? It's an under 21 child. So that's one. And a more interesting expansion on that question, if you want to say something about, is they have a child who is actually a grandchild, but they have, I'd like to translate that as they adopted the child. They say they have parental potestad. They have control of the child. Can that child come with them?
Okay.
So let me translate those two questions in Spanish and then you can answer them.
Sure.
Las dos preguntas que le estoy pidiéndole a Zina que con respecto a hijos, que es una que nos hacen con frecuencia, la pareja está casada, uno de los cónyuges tienen hijos de un matrimonio anterior, si esos hijos están incluidos. Y la segunda pregunta es, personas que tienen, por ejemplo, un nieto o una nieta que tienen potestad parental sobre el hijo, que si esos niños pueden venir con ellos. Okay. Zinat?
Yes, so stepchild or child from a previous relationship of your spouse's previous relationship, as long as they are, you married your spouse when the child was under 18, they would be considered a stepchild. So you would be able to sponsor, they would be able to come in as a derivative. So that's the definition of stepchild or hijastro. So yes, they would be able.
It's not 21, it's 18?
The marriage, so they have to be under 21 when they immigrate, but the marriage had to occur between you and their parent before they were 18.
Okay, very good. So, en el caso de cuando es una pareja que se casó y tienen hijos de un matrimonio anterior, desde que se hayan casado, antes de que el hijo de la persona cumpliera los 18 años, automáticamente aparece como si fuera un hijo adoptivo. Y esa persona lo pueden traer hasta la edad de los 21. Recuérdense en ese pequeño detalle que es el hijo del cónyuge tiene que haber sido menor de 18 años antes de que ustedes contrayeran nupcias, ¿ok? Y obviamente el requisito de los 21 años sigue siendo el mismo. Did I explain that correctly, Sina?
Yep, exactly. And then for the grandchild who's adopted, yeah, as long as it's a legal adoption and they can demonstrate that, then sure. They just have to, have the paperwork to show that.
Okay. Para los, si uno, and does that apply for obviously any adoption, right? It
Any adoption.
Okay.
Exactly.
Exacto. Si ustedes tienen un nieto o una nieta que está legalmente adoptado, tienen potestad adoptiva sobre la persona, absolutamente no tienen ningún problema. Todos los hijos adoptados, sean que sea un nieto o lo hayan adoptado por cualquier otro motivo, no tienen ninguna restricción. Todos ellos pueden venir con ustedes siempre y cuando sean menores de 21 años. Okay.
Okay. I have a question from someone about my brother is my only family. Is it possible for me to apply for my brother and can they receive a visa legally? So that's a great question. So they could not process with you under this process of the permanent resident process. But remember when we talked about one of the benefits of becoming a citizen, as a US citizen, you can petition for your siblings. So you could petition for your brother. The downside, unfortunately, is that the siblings have the longest wait of all family members, and it's about a 15 to possibly 20-year wait right now. I hate to even say. but it is an option. It is there. So that's my good and bad answer for you.
Okay, you want to translate?
I will let you take that one if that's okay.
Why? This is the moment of practicing.
Okay. So mi hermano es mi única familia. Es posible que me puede acompañar y recibir un visa legalmente. Es la pregunta. So, en ese proceso no puede solicitar para su hermano, pero puede cuando solicitar o cuando recibir su ciudadanía, puede solicitar para sus hermanos, pero la línea de espera para los hermanos es muy larga, es más de 15 años, alrededor de 20 años ahora.
Okay.
Eso es mi...
Esto es importante. And those 15 years on top of the 5 years before you become citizens, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Recuerden que para solicitar el proceso de familia es el más usado y esas visas son las más congestionadas. Por eso los procesos se demoran bastante y ahora que hay tanta gente solicitando por el proceso de familia aplicación, lo que ha hecho es que obviamente se han llenado las cuotas y se está demorando más. Solicitar a un hermano, como están preguntando, una vez que te volviste ciudadano en 5 años, puedes solicitarlo. No hay ningún problema, no hay ningún inconveniente a solicitar a una persona con parentesco. El problema en esa situación es que esas visas se pueden demorar fácilmente 15 o 20 años en salir. ¿Ok? Simplemente porque son muy bajos en la prioridad de la cuota. ¿Ok? Para que les quede claro.
Okay, I think that's...
Okay,
I had one more for me. I had a green card. I resigned my status, or I let go of my green card, let's say, after moving back to Argentina, my home country. So I have a social security. So I used to have a green card, let's say, and I abandoned it. Does this change anything? So that's a good question. It does not change anything in terms of your new process or your new application, but you do have to disclose it. So we would have to, state that you did have a green card. They will have a record of it. And we'll have to, explain why you let it go. It doesn't harm your chances, for the new application. It doesn't help your chances. It just is what it is. And most likely you'll have the same social security number, just reissued to you once approved.
Okay. So, la pregunta es, una persona que ya había tenido una residencia y decidió abandonarla, si eso afecta el proceso. Y la respuesta es no, ni ayuda ni afecta el proceso. Hay que de todas maneras de contarle al gobierno de los Estados Unidos que tuviste una residencia y que decidiste no continuarla y el motivo por el cual decidiste no continuarla, pero eso no afecta y no cambia la parte del proceso, ni ayuda ni tampoco pone ningún impedimento en el nuevo proceso. Okay. Zina, do you have any more there, or otherwise I have a handful more here that I would like to pass to you.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'm going to take one more second and say it in Spanish, just to reiterate, because people, I think, sometimes don't hear. So I just want to reiterate something very clear, because we get this question all the time. Cuando se hace el proceso del enfermero, la familia está incluida. El núcleo familiar es, como Zina les explicaba, esposo, cónyuge, casados. Tiene que haber un acta matrimonial. No importa el sexo del cónyuge, y no funcionan uniones libres. Tiene que haber un acta matrimonial. Y están incluidos todos los hijos menores de 21 años. ¿Ok? Sus hijos menores de 21 años, sus cónyuges están incluidos en el proceso y todos llegan con la residencia permanente a los Estados Unidos, con el famoso Green Card. Todos llegan como residentes permanentes. Entonces, aquellos que dicen que solamente quieren hacer el programa porque quieren venirse con la familia, esta es tu oportunidad de hacerlo con la familia, ¿ok? Para que no les quede la menor duda al respecto. El hospital cubre todos tus costos, los costos de tu familia, los costos consulares de tu familia son por cuenta tuya. El hospital no cubre los costos consulares de tu familia, ¿ok? Creo que con eso se clarifica esa pregunta que ya le hicieron varias veces. Ya explicamos que no importa si el hijo es natural, si el hijo es adoptivo, todos ellos están incluidos en el proceso. En el caso de los hijos del cónyuge, siempre y cuando se hayan casado antes de que los hijos hubieran cumplido los 18 años, automáticamente aparecen como hijos adoptivos y no tienen ningún problema, ¿ok? Hijos mayores de 21 años no pueden aplicar. Cuando lleguen acá, los pueden solicitar por el proceso de familia. Esperen que se van a demorar entre 8 y 10 años en este momento por lo congestionado que están las visas. Otros familiares no los pueden solicitar, sino una vez que se vuelven ciudadanos americanos, de haber pasado los 5 años como residentes y entrar al proceso de familia. El proceso de padres no se demora tanto, diría unos 2 o 3 años. El proceso de otros familiares, 15, 20 años. ¿Ok? Hermanos, tíos, abuelos, yo no sé, los que clasifiquen, son procesos muy largos porque las cuotas familiares están súper congestionadas. Muy bien. Otra cosa que quiero clarificar, nuevamente para que no tengan la menor duda, personas con enfermedades crónicas, because they have sent me a ton of those questions, Sina.
Please, yeah.
Personas con enfermedades crónicas que no son infecciosas, no tienen ninguna restricción, ¿ok? Personas con hipotiroidismo, personas que tienen Crohn's disease, personas que tienen el síndrome de Crohn o personas que tienen diabetes. Eso no es una excluyente para la visa, no tienen ningún problema para su visa. Personas que tienen alguna enfermedad contagiosa, que el gobierno americano considere que es una enfermedad contagiosa, hasta que no esté tratada, no esté controlada la infección, que ya usted no es contagioso, no les van a dar la visa. En la mayoría de las circunstancias, demostrar que la enfermedad está controlada, eso es todo lo que se necesita. Con respecto a las vacunaciones, many people have asked about what are the vaccinations, the immunizations that they need to get, and I'm sure you probably don't have the list of that, but the very standard, the MMR vaccinations are basically...
Yeah, there's the COVID. So I was going to say, after this, we can circulate, if that's helpful, a list of the communicable diseases and the vaccinations, if that's useful. I have the list here. It's just hard to change, but it's, there's Hansen's disease, syphilis, gonorrhea, certain forms of tuberculosis. And then there's a public health list of ones that they change by executive order. But again, yeah, it has to be transmittable, communicable.
Okay. Correcto. Entre las enfermedades que hay que tener controladas y tienen que haberlas controladas son enfermedades venéreas, no. Obviamente que son excluyentes, tuberculosis, que tienen que estar tratadas para que ustedes no tengan ningún problema con las visas, ¿ok? Si durante el examen médico se encuentra que usted tiene una de esas enfermedades, obviamente todo eso va a parar el proceso de visa para ustedes hasta que la enfermedad quede controlada y se considere que usted o ya no la tiene o está completa. The more common question is HIV. So people who have treated HIV, I believe there is no problem unless there is treated. Personas que tienen el síndrome, creo que en español es el IVH, ¿sí? Desde que estés controlado, estés medicado, no es una excluyente para venirse a los Estados Unidos. Okay? Very good. So let me ask you a couple of more questions, Zina, and I think that we probably have answered everybody's question. There is a case of which is not uncommon. People will come here and obviously come in with a tourist visa, overstay the visa, or sometimes don't even overstay, but they are caught working illegally in the United States. There is a particular case that I'd like to call to your attention. You can explain in generalities. Somebody stay about 10 months under a tourist visa working illegally, but he left under their own voluntarily left the country. What they did wrong is that they went and tried to return back to the country to continue working about a month or two later. So obviously they were caught at the point of entry and they obviously took away their visas. Now, are they, because there still wasn't more than a year, was under a year. Are they under the 3-year penalty, or are they under the 10-year penalty? Are they under no penalty because they were never caught? So what penalty are they under?
So they entered with a visa, they stayed 10 months beyond the visa, they left.
No, 10 months in total, really 4 months above the 6 months. A total of 10 months. They did not pass the year.
Okay, they did not. So they stayed 4 months, so less than 180 days.
Less than
180 days.
Correct. They didn't overstay their visa for over 180 days.
And they left.
And they left on their own accord.
And they came back.
They tried to come back a month or two later, and they were denied entry. And they
on the visa.
On their tourist, they tried to return with the tourist visa. When they went to the airport, and obviously they said, well, what do you mean? You've been here, you were here 10 months, and now you want to come back a month later? And obviously they not only did that, but they discovered that they were working illegally.
So they canceled the visa.
They canceled the visa and they just returned them.
Okay. So they are not subject to, based on these small facts, generally I can say they're not likely subject to the 3-year bar because they didn't have 180 days without status, but they could still require a waiver the next time they want to apply for a visa because of the working without authorization. So that's another violation. So when they go to apply for, maybe another visitor visa or even this visa, they might have to apply for a waiver to overcome the working without authorization.
Are those complicated waivers?
So if it's a waiver for a non-immigrant visa, which means a temporary visa, not super complicated. You have to show that it was a minor violation. It's like a balancing factor, the violation versus not too complicated, but it can take some time. It's a bit more complicated when it comes for the immigrant visa, because you have to file an actual form and it can take some more time, but this is such a small violation in the grand scheme of things, but it will add some time to the process, is what I'm saying.
Okay. So, la pregunta que le estaba yo haciendo a Sina, porque nos la han hecho algunas veces, es una persona que vino a los Estados Unidos legalmente con una visa de turismo, excedió la visa de turismo, pero no pasó el año, no excedió la visa de turismo por más de 180 días. Recuerde que los primeros 180 días son legales, los segundos 180 días no son legales. En este caso, la persona no pasó los 180 días, y se devolvió de los Estados Unidos. Lo que hizo esa persona durante ese tiempo es que obviamente trabajó, que es ilegal trabajar con una visa de turismo. La persona trató de volver a los Estados Unidos un par de meses después. Obviamente en la frontera la pararon y obviamente se dieron cuenta que no solamente se había quedado meses adicionales por encima de la visa, pero además había trabajado ilegalmente. Entonces, no hay que esperar los 3 años de amnistía, por eso, porque no había excedido los 180 días. Pero el problema en este caso es el hecho de que la encontraron trabajando de manera ilegal. Eso crea una complicación, no es Sina explica que en el esquema general de visas no es muy complicada, pero hay que entregar una cosa que se llama un waiver, una explicación para solicitar una excepción para que remuevan eso para poder aplicar a la visa residente. Eso adiciona un tiempo adicional al proceso de la visa porque hay que obtener el waiver primero antes de poder finalizar el proceso. Nina, I hope that you are auditing me, so I'm not saying anything.
Nope, that's right. That's correct. Okay. Yeah, we call it like exempción or perdón for the waiver sometimes, and it just adds to the time. Yeah.
Okay, una excepción o un perdón, correcto. Zina, there are so many questions. I don't think we can get to all of them, but it's just a silly question. I always tell everybody that the application is to that an EB3 visa. I don't know why he's thinking that the family is going to get an EB2. The family gets an EB5, if I'm correctly, right? The children get an EB, something like that. Would you tell them what EB they get?
Yeah. So the family is going to be processed same as you. It's EB3. Everybody's basically EB3. But really, the family doesn't really get a classification. It all goes under your priority date. So it's all based under your EB3 classification. If your priority date is current, then they're current. If you are not current, then they're not current.
Okay. La pregunta que alguien me dice es si la familia entra bajo un tipo de visa diferente. Y dice, Zina, que no, la aplicación se hace bajo el estatus de la visa EB3, la prioridad de las visas EB3, y por lo tanto no es que la familia venga con EB5 o EB2, todos entran dentro de la prioridad de la visa EB3, con la cual se está aplicando. Obviously, there are some timing questions. I don't want you to commit to any, just to give some generality. What will be like the fastest processing time you ever seen for the process, and what will be a very long time? Not exaggerated long time, but a long time. So just to give a general range, and if you want to put your hands out, I usually tell people, if you are lucky, 4 to 6 months. If normally anticipate about a year, not to get the process, but that's more or less the range. But I don't know if you have a different take.
I think that's about, valid. Sometimes, like, as we saw, I just saw a question come in about the visa bulletin, what happened in May this year. So this is new, right? So this could potentially slow things down a bit. So sometimes when that happens, it can push things to the longer end of the wait time. Hopefully it doesn't happen again or doesn't keep happening. But I think that range is about accurate, and hopefully things we're able to get more, expedite or visas open up again.
Okay, I want you to know that people want you to put, I don't know if you have it on the screen, you can show it, or if you want to put it on the chat. A lot of people want to know how to contact you to get a direct consultation. So I have at least 6 people asking for your information to contact you. And a few of them also would like to know, if you don't mind, how much does it cost the consultation? So,
yeah, of course.
If you want to say those 2 things. Para las 6 o 7 personas que me preguntaron de cómo hacen una consulta directa con la abogada, ella les va a dejar la información de ella aquí en el chat. Y los que preguntan que cuánto la consulta, ella lo va a escribir ahí también para que puedan hacer una consulta privada con ella directamente. Zina, there is one other topic that I don't want to leave, finish the conversation without you addressing, which is people who have crossed the border, either if they have surrendered to immigration or not. We always tell them that they must get into some kind of legal status, quote unquote, within the United States. They have to obtain an immigration status in the United States, whether it's asylum or TPS. Okay, A lot of people think just because they surrendered themselves at the border and they were given this parole, that they are now free and clear to apply for I-140s. Could you talk a little bit about that? And also, because I also want to impress very heavily on them that they really should do that using a lawyer to make sure, especially those who are in asylum, is not an easy process. We need them to have an accepted asylum process in order to be able to do something with them. So that's one topic that I would like you to address.
Yeah, I mean, we could maybe have a 5-hour meeting on asylum someday, just asylum. But yes, it's definitely very important process. And you know, very.
Allow me to translate for a second the question so they can follow you, and
Please.
then we can do. Le estoy pidiendo a Zina que por favor, porque este es un caso que constantemente nos están preguntando, personas que pasaron la frontera, se entregaron a la migración, les dieron un estatus de parole. Nosotros les decimos que ese es un estatus de estar en limbo, están sin estatus político, tienen que o pedir un TPS o tienen que pedir un estatus de asilo. Zina les va a explicar los detalles de por qué esto es necesario, porque lo contrario no se puede hacer el cambio de estatus. Okay, Zina, they are all yours.
So, first, importantly, the I-140 itself does not give you any status. It does not give you any work authorization. It does not give you any legality in the United States. So if someone files an I-140 for you and you are here, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't allow you to stay here. Instead, it's a ticket for you to someday come here with a visa or someday apply for a green card. I can pause there if you want to maybe start with that.
Okay. El proceso, recuerden que el proceso tiene dos partes. El proceso I-140 es la solicitud de que hay un empleador que está haciendo la petición al gobierno americano para que a ustedes les den una visa para poder venir a trabajar en los Estados Unidos, conseguir esa visa. Cambiar el estatus a I-140 automáticamente no les da una visa de trabajo. Hay que hacer la segunda parte del proceso para obtener la visa. ¿Ok? Entonces, esto es importante que entiendan la diferencia.
So if you're here, if you've been paroled at the border and someone files an I-140 for you, you know, that's not giving you any status. The parole, TPS, asylum, all of those are very complex, complicated matters. Asylum specifically is a very long process. It really does require an attorney. I think there's statistics out there that maybe, you know, 80 to 90% of cases that are filed without attorneys are denied. So really, really encourage you to, you know, I'm not saying don't file it, but really encourage you. And there's pro bono attorneys out there. And I'm always happy to send people resources, and I can share those with you, David, as well, with the group for you to share with people as well. But having help, it's very important for that.
Okay. Recuérdense que entregarse en la frontera y que les den un papel que dice que a ustedes les dieron parole no significa nada. Usted no tiene estatus en los Estados Unidos. Usted tiene que tratar de hacer el complejo proceso, porque es complejo, de solicitar el asilo o de solicitar el TPS. En cualquiera de las dos circunstancias, la recomendación, y por favor tomen esta recomendación, háganlo con un abogado. Hay abogados que inclusive dan el proceso pro bono, no hay muchos, pero sí los hay, y Zina con mucho gusto les da alguna información sobre ellos. Obviamente Zina y el grupo están dispuestos a ayudarles en ese proceso, pero háganlo con un abogado porque el proceso es complejo y si el proceso no queda aplicado correctamente, no podemos cambiarlo. ¿Sí me entienden? Si usted hizo un proceso, pero está mal hecho, no están los documentos apropiados, no ha sido aceptado, no se puede cambiar. Hasta que no estemos en una situación donde se puede cambiar, no puede, el empleador, el hospital no puede hacer mucho al respecto. Es importante que lo hayan hecho correctamente para poderlo coger y para poderlo convertir en el proceso del green card que se hacemos a través de los hospitales. You let me know if I messed up the answers in any way, shape, or form.
Yep. No, that's perfect.
Okay. Very good. You know, there is always people who think that this is not real, that they still think that, no, that when we do all this, it's all, you know, a make-believe. So they want to know if this is for real, the hospital will really do this for them, or if we are really honest about doing this process. So, you know, it's the standard question. I usually address this, that obviously we are a certified recruiter, that we only work with official hospitals, we bring them here, but I don't know if you want to pitch in. We got a couple of people asking about that.
Yeah, I guess what's the, just as it means.
Like, are we for real? Are we really doing this for them? Are we is there a make-believe that no, this is not going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, certainly, you know, you can Google, you know, you can look us up. We've been doing this for years. You know, I know that it's, you know, I'm getting some comments on the fees, and, you know, I understand that it's a lot of money, of course, and I don't take that lightly either. But, you know, that should also tell you something, right? That it's not free. It's not something that is, you know, we take it seriously. This pays for my team. This pays for all of us to be able to do this work, to be able to do good work, to be able, as Carrie was saying in the beginning, to be able to be here at, you know, 9 p.m. at night to answer all your questions, to do work that we are proud of and that we can stand behind. So it is real, and you know, we do take it very seriously. And, you know, we'll be here to help you through the process and answer the questions.
Espero que aquellas personas que preguntan que si el proceso es válido, que si esto es real, que todo el asunto, quiero que entiendan que no solamente somos compañías certificadas, que llevamos mucho tiempo haciendo esto. Obviamente nosotros nos pueden auditar, siempre lo recomiendo que nos auditen, no hay ningún problema. Compañías como de abogados como la de Zina y nosotros, créanos, estamos gastando horas inagotables por ayudarles a ustedes lo más posible para beneficiarlo tanto a ustedes, obviamente para beneficiar a los hospitales también, para que puedan cambiar su vida y venirse a vivir en los Estados Unidos. Okay. Zina, I think that we are way past the time. I think I have not enough words to thank you about you having been here. We think that you guys are amazing. We think you are one of the best groups out there doing immigration process in the United States. Of course, everybody wants the process for free. So especially consultations,
I understand.
Free consultations, and I know that's a whole other story. But and I'm sure that hopefully you'll get a lot of questions.
No, it was my pleasure. My pleasure. Un placer. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Quiero agradecer formalmente a Tina. Ya hemos excedido. Yo sé que aquí hay muchísimas preguntas más, pero obviamente creo que contestamos la mayoría de ellos. Quiero agradecerle formalmente a Tina y al grupo a Zina y al grupo de FRAGOMEN por toda la magnífica ayuda que nos dan. Nosotros y los hospitales agradecemos muchísimo el trabajo que ellos hacen en ayudarlos para conseguir el deseo de ustedes de venirse a los Estados Unidos y venir a vivir de manera permanente. Les estoy dejando aquí a todos para que lo copien el correo de Zina si quieren hacerle alguna pregunta correcta, y el costo de la consulta. Obviamente los costos son en dólares, no son en su moneda local. Para que ustedes sepan, normalmente las consultas, si hay algún proceso adicional, ellos se encargan de ayudarles a ustedes en toda la parte del proceso. Carrie, you want to say something else?
Well, thanks so much, Zina. I've been answering questions in this last bit if you've watched me type along here. So You know, again, thank you so much. It's so important to have the right partner in the immigration attorney. And, you know, we're just very happy to be working with you, and thank you so much. To all the people that are here, you know, Zena and her team do a great job. David, some people are asking me, what if they want to learn more about the whole immigration process and those things? I remind people to, you know, go to our meetings and informational meetings, and we'll be happy to do it.
I'm going to put it here on the chat para aquellos que quieren más información, vengan a una reunión informativa. Ahí les estoy dejando el enlace y los horarios. Recuérdense que las horas son todas basadas en Chicago. Aquí les dejo un enlace adicional para que comparen su hora local contra la hora de Chicago. Pero esos son los horarios de las reuniones informativas donde cubrimos todos los detalles del programa y les contestamos todas las preguntas. Todos los días hay 2 reuniones, así que busquen una que les convenga.
And one other thing, Zena, I know it's time to go, but one other thing that I wanted to ask about, people were asking me, did they understand you correctly about, do they have to have their TOEFL or IELTS before they start the immigration process? And I said, they don't, but if they're working with us, they do.
Okay.
So that, just for clarification, we have discovered that it works out better for everybody. And to get all of these 2 big milestones out of the way before you start immigration, because at the last minute, we don't want everybody to be chasing down people that are still working so hard to pass the English exam, because it is a challenging exam. And they don't need it until the visa screen and the end of the process. But the end of the process comes very quick when you are waiting for something, and you don't want to miss your appointment, right?
But they cannot solicit an appointment in theory without the visa screen.
Well, right. So you kind of get in that process, but then you have to wait until people can finish it. And we did it that way previously. It was not a good feeling for anybody, especially the candidate, right?
Yeah, no, that makes it better for us. I mean, I agree with you. I think that's a better way to do it. Have everything ready, because once they give you the interview, if you tell them, wait, actually, I'm not ready, they'll put you at the end of the line. So you want to be ready when they're ready for you.
And Zena, when we're working with attorneys like you, everything is happening quick. You know, so it's not like we've got all this time to kind of to wait for these things to happen. You are so fast with get the documents, file the papers, let's get going, that, you know, again, everybody needs to pass English before we can get the interview and get going on this.
So, Carrie, you want to say that in Spanish now?
Yes. Hola, buenas noches.
Carrie, porque esta pregunta le hicieron para poder terminar. El proceso, en teoría, uno puede aplicar al proceso I-140 con solo haber pasado el ENCLIS, pero no puede aplicar al proceso de la visa, el DS-260, hasta que no tenga en la mano el visa screen. El visa screen requiere los 2 exámenes, en particular el examen de inglés, que a veces es bastante riguroso y algunas personas tienen problema pasando el examen de inglés. Entonces, en general, nuestra experiencia, porque lo hemos hecho donde permitíamos empezar el proceso sin haber pasado el examen de inglés, ha resultado ser inconveniente porque los candidatos no han cumplido los requisitos y crea problemas y demoras en la parte de la solicitud de la visa. Entonces, nosotros y los hospitales requerimos que para que ustedes entren a hacer el proceso migratorio ya hayan pasado los 2 exámenes. En otras palabras, que ya podamos aplicar para el Visa Screen. ¿Ok? Para que no se demore el proceso, para que no tome años hacer el proceso de visa. Queremos que el proceso de visa sea lo más rápido posible. Recuerde que queremos que el proceso de visa se demore entre tan poquito como 4 meses y no más de 1 año, para que ustedes puedan llegar acá lo más pronto posible. ¿Ok? De las otras maneras, tenemos muchos inconvenientes y pasan los meses y los meses y los meses y no podemos hacer la aplicación. Y si el proceso ya entró para solicitud de visa, significa que te vuelven y te botan al comienzo de la fila y te puedes demorar muchos meses antes de que te den de nuevo una cita en la embajada. ¿Ok? Por eso es uno de los motivos.
Thank you for that.
I didn't translate that.
Zena, thank you so much. I really, I know that everybody really enjoyed this webinar and I did too. So it's always nice to learn new things. So thank you.
Okay.
Of course. Thank you all. My pleasure.
Okay.
You want to say something about next week?
No.
We'll have a month.
It's going to be. I think that it's the last. I think that it's the last.
Of the month. I think
The last of the month. So I have a feeling that we're going to have that great Robert from BSR Idiomas to help everybody pass their language exam, right? So please join. He does such a great job. He's very motivational, and we have a new program with BSR Idioma for people that just need 3 months of language. So that's really just kind of putting the fine tune on it, and that starts on June 5th. So he'll discuss that in the meeting next Wednesday.
La Academia de Inglés va a venir la próxima semana. Van a dar más ayudas para el estudio de inglés. Estén pendientes. Ellos normalmente nos acompañan en los seminarios al final del mes y vienen con nuevas estrategias y tácticas para ayudarles a ustedes a lograr aprender el inglés en el tiempo que hemos tratado de hacerlo, que completen todo en aproximadamente 1 año, 1 año y medio y alcancen el nivel intermedio de inglés. ¿Ok? Muy bien. Again, Zena, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Muchas gracias a todos por haber venido. Los esperamos el próximo miércoles y estén pendientes de futuros seminarios. Buenas noches a todos.
Thank you. Buenas noches. Gracias.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.